We're so glad you're all here. And some of you will be here with us via recording, and we're glad you're here too. Um, so
Yeah.
today, we are going to do something a little different. We'll still have time for some transmission and some transformational meditation, a dive into the soul field together. But we're going to let this really be your day today. And what we mean by that is we really want to address what's brewing in the community, like what's up for you. Where are the challenges? Where do you have questions? Where could you use some spiritual mentoring like that? So we're just going to kind of be with things where they are, be with you where you are. And so just in terms of um, shyness to speak, etc. You may have seen, probably you didn't watch the recording from last time, but what Nancy has beautifully done, and I just want everybody to know this so you can feel really comfortable, is if you do talk, she's taking either at least the video off, but also if you want your voice off as well. Like last time, she just took everybody who shared and commented off the recording. So you can feel that that part is like our sacred share together while we're here live. And people will hear, of course, our responses to what you're speaking to, and but not necessarily whatever you're sharing. So you can feel really settled in your sharing that this circle is the circle you're sharing with, not, in perpetuity as that's on YouTube 10 years from now, like that.
I know. This is the VIP group, I
Yeah,
swear.
exactly.
Only you get to hear each other and be in this
Exactly. Exactly.
amazing, awesome thing. Um, Something that Luminari and I, and for those that don't know each of us, Luminari and I both have our doctors in psychology, and we both went into the psychology route, and very quickly guidance said, let's go this way. Thank you for that information, but let's go more towards the spirituality. And for a very long time, Luminaria has been my mentor and guidance and sort of introduced me to new things, new ideas. And both of us have been expanding in this realm. And and here we are, like guidance said, let's have a podcast first. And the podcast did not go as we planned. And guidance was like, exactly. And so we trusted through all the stress, and this came about from that experience. And so every other Sunday, at the second and fourth Sunday of the month, we are hosting these gatherings. We wanted to create a space where we can all commune and have um, like-minded people that can be here and tune in spiritually, and not from a dogmatic space, but from a connection to spirit that has many forms. We're not necessarily making it that is Catholic, Buddhist, or anything like that. We're tapping into the soul field that holds everything. And so
Where all are
we,
welcome. Where all are
yes,
welcome,
all
right?
are welcome. And this is not a church, but it is sort of gatherings that we're starting to provide for people and committing. We're committing to do this for us and for you. And so today, as we prepare to enter the soul field, we usually start with a red candle or a candle if you have one. And so let's all start lighting our candles to enter and prepare the field. And
This is,
as
excuse
you
me,
are,
it's just
go
an
ahead.
invitation into meditative sacred space, right? This is what we're doing here in the lighting of the
Yes.
candle
And
and
as
setting a
you,
field.
Mhm. And as you are lighting the candle and you are entering the field, allow your mind to settle a little. Allow yourself to pause and to experience entering the field and allowing guidance to show you, um, through however you perceive, show you the connection that you have. And we will be talking and answering questions, and that can get a little heady, that can get very like logical. And so this is an invitation to stay connected with spirit, to stay connected in the field, to allow spirit to show the answers through you, through us, through all of us, um, and to settle into who you are a little bit deeper. Welcome to the field. Mhm. It feels like we're all little chickens, little chicks walking in into the and being herded into the field. Like, let's have fun.
Mm.
Mm.
We'll
So
speak
we'll
our
open.
opening. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Luminara and I are like so in sync that we're like posting at the same time. We're saying things at the same time. It's like
It's
one
good.
mind, I swear. Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, so I'm going to share our opening prayer. Hmm. We come with grateful, reverent, and open hearts to drink from the deep well of our eternal nature. We know as we dive into the soul field together, we are held in a sacred and holy embrace by the source of all love, light, and grace. We allow our minds to expand into the holy realms where magic and miracles are commonplace. As we minister to ourselves, we minister to one another and our family humanity. We recognize we are one in the holy wholeness. We allow what we do here to ripple out through our lives as a living witness of grace for the benefit of all beings.
Venimos con corazones llenos de gratitud, reverentes y abiertos, a saciar nuestra sed en el pozo profundo de nuestro propio ser eterno. Estamos conscientes de que al sumergirnos en el campo del alma, somos acogidos en los santos brazos de la fuente sagrada de toda luz, amor y gracia infinita. Nos damos permiso de expandir nuestras mentes hacia el reino sagrado donde la magia y los milagros ocurren constantemente. De la misma manera en que nos predicamos a nosotros mismos, así predicamos al prójimo y a nuestra familia humana, reconociendo que somos uno en la totalidad sagrada. Permitimos que todo lo que se haga aquí hoy tenga una secuela en nuestras vidas como testimonio vivo de la gracia divina para el beneficio de todos. Mm, mm, mm.
Hmm.
Wow, that always, whew. When I hear it from you and then when I'm saying it, it's like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I always have a little tear somewhere in there. It's
Mhm.
such a blessing to be here with you all. And so what we'd like to do now is just start with a little Q&A. We have a couple questions that have been sent to us, so I thought we'd start with those, and then that may give rise to other questions based upon what we're speaking. Should we copy those into the chat thread so people can take a look at them, Nancy? You're doing that. Okay. This is
I'm
this is the
telling you.
beauty. It's like this collaboration between Nancy and I. We're like constantly reading each other, and it was really beautiful.
Mm.
So the first question is, how can I allow time and space for me to take better care of myself, spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical? And the second one has a similar thing, which is how to stay spiritually grounded when life gets busy and overwhelming. Um, I think Nancy and I both have things we could say to that. Do you want to begin, Nancy, or would you like me to begin?
Yeah. It's interesting because as we were reading the questions, the theme is life gets busy, right? And how do we make room? How do we make space?
Mhm.
And Luminaria is in Arizona, being part of a retreat and everything. And I'm doing this and doing that. And when we came together, it took a minute for us to pause everything, to set that intention and be like, let's meditate. And it
Mhm.
was just an instant moment of, now, I don't think that is that easy for every single time. I think when two or more gather, there's more power.
Mhm.
But I do think that there is a piece of intention, in even though we are creating a ritual and we are creating something that is consistent for us, um, there is one piece of intention. And I know you have more that you want to add, Luminaria. So go.
Mhm. Yeah, well, there's a key in what Nancy said, which is that when she and I come together and the two are more. And so, one of the things that I think is crucial is having places like this, what we're doing today, and sort of doing that level of commitment that says, whatever's going on, I'm going to show up for that, because that starts to anchor something. Like when we do have those moments of connection with others spiritually, it starts to anchor us in the soul field, right? It starts to anchor us in the place of, oh, yeah, that's right. I am a spiritual being having a physical experience, not a physical being every once in a while tapping in spiritually, right? So it helps to start moving that in. One of the things Nancy and I have been guided to do as we've been in the listening about what does spirit want for us to create, because it became very clear, and here we are, that there was creation. But one of the things is that spirit's having us gather, the two of us, 3 times a week for 15 to 30 minutes, and meditate together, pray together. We're praying for all of you. We're opening and listening. So if there's any possible way you can find a prayer buddy or a meditation buddy, and it doesn't have to be long. Sometimes there have been times, to be truly honest, even though we had that guidance, 15 to 30 minutes, sometimes we have 5 minutes. But
Mm-hmm.
that 5 minutes, boom, because we're holding a similar intention, because we desire to commune spiritually, we activate that potential of two or more. So this is one powerful thing. And we're going to give you at the end of the soul field experience today, when we talk about what's next, we're going to actually give you an opportunity to connect with one another more regularly and not just on Facebook. So um yeah.
And I have to say that there are times when we're meeting at 9:30 and I had a long night and I'm waking up late and it's like, but because I'm committed, because I'm doing it with someone, then there's no backing out. There's no
Right.
like, hey, we're doing it, right? We're doing it. And
Mhm.
so part of connecting with another person is also finding that person. And what a beautiful place right here to find people to connect with. This
Mhm.
community, you know, you can connect with each other. You can um, connect through a thread or like a chat thread or connect here or outside. However, it's important that you connect with people like that think alike. And this is almost curated. Every single person that is here is tapped. Every single person here is connected and has a pure intention. So
Mhm.
what a beautiful place here to be. The other piece is um, life does get in the way, and we have to really look at what the priority is. So if we are making our job the priority, or washing the dishes the priority, or the kids the priority, then spirituality starts to become last. And something that we need to shift in our thinking is that we have to first connect because everything else becomes so easy after that. I'll give you a silly example, but that proves everything. this morning, I felt the need to go check on my car because I had parked it on yellow. And even though it's Sunday, it's fine. But as I was checking the car, a thought came to my mind and said, you should move it right now. And I'm like, but I have 15 minutes before I have to log in and whatever. Okay, I'm going to listen to that. And when I went to the car to move it, there was a spot right in front available, which is like sometimes like difficult to find. But that was guidance making my life a lot easier. Even for my future days, guidance was making my life easier. But this listening didn't come out of nowhere. This listening comes from staying in connection with my own body, with my health, with my practice, with taking care of me first. It came with becoming aware of what I'm feeling, how I'm tuning in, what's happening in my body, in my mind, in my emotions, in my relationships. And third is, how is guidance communicating with me? So for example, Adana, sorry for calling you out on this, but Adana's auditory. She can hear people speaking in their truth. I'm more of a sentient, I know kind of things. And so the more you discover your intuitive way, then you will connect to guidance in a way that is appropriate for you.
Mhm. I want to speak to the issue also of, so we're talking about commitment. We're talking about having partners, like soul partners, right? That you can be accountable with to your own intentionality for bringing spirituality into your life. But I also want to speak about the like actually we how do we weave that? And before I do that, I just remembered one other thing I want to speak about, this idea about partnership on any level of health, where we're talking about physical, emotional, mental health. Spiritual health is where we were speaking a lot, Nancy and I just now. But those same principles apply, right? A commitment that's reasonable, right? That you can actually meet, and support in doing that, and certainly having companionship in that matters. Like it really matters. We are social beings, and we are mammals. Mammals bond in play, and so when we're with another, even if we're doing, and I'm putting this quote, a hard thing, the energy of that play and that connection carries us. Right? So I can't say enough about community. Community can be one person, right? But so coming to the next piece about how do we really weave it, having things that remind you in your daily life, like a sticky note on your mirror in the morning that says breathe. Right? I'm not in my office, as you can tell, in Tucson right now, but I have underneath my where my monitor sits, it's on a little stand, and there's a sticky note that hangs off that stand, and it has a list of several things. Some of you may have seen this. It says, open the portal to the temple of divine perfection. It says, um, breathe. It says parasympathetic. It's like, it's got some tools listed on it that are just like quick and easy remembrance tools. And it says, remember to co-create. You are not at the mercy of the field. You get to create it. So I'm reminding myself, like, this is what I do for a living, right? This is what I do for a living. I am a spiritual mentor. I live my spirituality, and I remind myself, right? So if you're not doing things, like sometimes having a candle lit is a reminder. Nancy did a beautiful post on instant or I mean on social media recently about why she smudges, right? So any of these kinds of things that you can just do in the midst of your life that remind you about who you are, that remind you of soul, will help you to take a moment, to take a breath and breathe in the light that you are, and breathe out the fear that keeps you feeling separate, right? It
Mhm.
can be that
And
quick and that simple.
mhm. And in every soul field gathering that we are experiencing, we are giving you tools. Like those are incredible tools that you can use to stay connected. So like put them in your little pockets and fill yourself with those tools. So whenever you are experiencing something stressful or have questions, you can have those tools ready to go. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about what other questions you may have. So either put them in the chat or unmute yourself. This is about answering your questions and giving you guidance in whatever you may need to learn more. So
Mhm.
we did talk about how do you stay connected in a busy world, but if there's more that you want to know, we would love to answer questions and hear you out.
Yeah, you're talking, I think, about sort of like releasing a constructed reality that
Mhm.
and being in the transition between that and co-creating a new reality and asking about how to support yourself in that transition between those places and wanting to
Yeah.
help yourself not go back to the old, we'll call that the old constructed reality where there might be, I'm guessing, more limiting beliefs and stories that don't feel like how you want to live and create right now. Thank you. Nancy, would you feel okay if I spoke to this? Or would you like to
Yeah,
speak
yeah.
first?
No, 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 go ahead.
Um,
I'm tapping
Beautiful.
for you
Yeah,
guys.
Nancy's giving us an example, right? So there are certainly tools, but I want to speak to this energetic that you're talking about briefly. Um, as we are evolutionary and infinite beings, we live in a space, a state of consciousness, a way of perceiving ourselves in our world. And at some point we realize like, maybe I'd like to perceive differently or see differently or orient differently. We really are here co-creating our experience. And so when we are having the awakenings that allow us to see like, oh, that's what I was doing, or this is why that's been like that. And we get to choose again. We're re-choosing. I'd like to do something different. I'd like to experience myself in a different way. I'd like to release that way of perceiving that no longer serves me, etc. Um, we are recognizing, remembering that we are co-creators. We are co-creatrix. We are with the field around us, with the wisdom of our own soul, we're generating our experience here in part, right? We're co-creating, we're co-generating. And so there's this thing, we always have this sense like, I don't want to go back. And yet, whatever the back is, whatever that was everything we needed to be right where we are. And in whatever's back there is great wisdom, sometimes aspects and parts of ourself and our soul that got left behind. So when we find ourselves moving into new realities and new consciousness, and then we find ourselves spiraling back and touching this, we'll call it old version of ourselves again, it's often because there's actually something really beneficial there. There's because we've evolved, we can now be with that in a new way. We can touch it in a new way. And so I really want to help all of you. And I know, Nancy and I very much hold this to be true, that we're sort of not in a linear trajectory. We're in some kind of spiraling trajectory of consciousness, and we'll spiral back around with whole new ways of viewing and perceiving and knowing ourselves to things that we've touched in the past. And we're doing that because there's still something there for us. And so we can feel the difference. We can all feel the difference of feeling like we get lost back there, because sometimes we do, right? Or like, oh, there, I'm touching that thing again. And how do we help ourselves not get lost back there, right? And so you saw Nancy tapping. One of there's so many tools, but one of the tools is that when we notice ourselves, feeling into those frequencies that feel old and less than beneficial, we can be, first of all, in reverence, like, okay, I'm here. Is there anything here for me? Is there something I missed? Is there something I can see or perceive or relate with now that I couldn't before? And then how do I carry myself even more strongly forward, right? And we use all different kinds of transformational tools for that.
Yeah. When I was being with you and all of you and experiencing this, I am open to perceive and know and sense. And in this, I felt a lot of fear and a lot of emotions. And immediately my intuition was like, start tapping here. This part right here is the K27 point, the kidney 27 meridian, which actually helps release anxiety, fear. It regulates the nervous system, the emotion, the vagus nerve. So if you can massage or tap, you will notice maybe it's a little bit tender or maybe not, but it is a great place to stimulate your fight or flight parasympathetic nervous system to help you calm down. So when you are releasing an identity, like this is who I am, and now you're like, holy cow, I have to trust guidance fully and completely. It's kind of like somebody just grabbed you from your home country and dropped you in a country that you know no one, you don't know the culture, you don't know the language, you don't know what they eat, where anything else, you don't have any friends. It's like that. You're completely, or it feels like you're completely lost. And so this transition is a lot of fear, a lot of feelings of like, I don't know if I can do it. And the tendency is, I want to go back to what I know because that's familiar, that feels safe. And so, in this transition of trusting guidance and trusting that guidance has our well being, that takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of courage to leave behind everything and to step into something brand new. Ooh, that's a lot of courage. And so, in the midst of this, my advice is to take care of your nervous system because the changes that you are experiencing are so big for the brain that the brain is like, whoa, short circuit, what's going on, what's happening here? And so the more you care about your energetic system, your nervous system, and you calm down your nervous system, that allows you to really listen to guidance and trust the next step. Our mind and our ego wants to know, tell me 20 steps from now, tell me my whole life. And that's not how it works. Because if we knew, we'll be like, never mind, I don't want that, you know. But mm, we only know the next step. It's like driving in the fog. You only know what's in front of you. And that is trusting. That is trusting guidance, not knowing, yet still moving. And so finding ease in that, regulating this beautiful vessel that has carried us so far, regulating our nervous system, I think is a really big step towards this transition, making it easier for us to transition to that other part.
I'd like to share one
You're
more little
welcome.
piece that this speaks to. And this is about, Nancy's speaking about being in the mystery. And we're talking about times of transition between one state or phase or way of being in the world and another. One of the things that culturally we tend to not have a lot of patience for is transition. We don't do that well in our culture. We expect go from here to there, and we expect a child, for example, to just like grow up, like we don't do spaciousness around the in between. And it has to do with exactly what Nancy's talking about, because the anxiety of that space that fallow space can be difficult. And yet, when we give ourselves that, when we give ourselves space there in the, I don't know, and we care for ourselves while we're there, like Nancy was speaking to, caring for the nervous system, caring for yourself by coming and receiving spiritual support and connection. When we can have patience there, then our natural evolutionary self begins to drive, and there is more flow and more ease. But it doesn't happen in our cultural mind's idea of timing. And so, one of the things we're doing in spiritual practices, we're cultivating sacred patience. We're cultivating the willingness to be in divine timing and to understand that that's different than cultural mind timing.
Yes, in the
Yeah.
mind. Any other
Let's,
questions or comments for
yeah, I was
that?
going to say, Nancy, in terms of timing, maybe let's take 2 or 3, maybe 4 more minutes here, and then
Mhm.
let's maybe step into some transformational space together. So maybe one last question, if there's, or about something we're already speaking about or something new. Strength, spiritual strength. And really, in some ways, this is the root of all the questions here is like, how do I strengthen myself spiritually? Because when we remember where our strength comes from, when we remember that we are created in such a way that we are created to meet our life and be in the experience of fulfillment with our life, and that we have sacred support for that, we recognize that, then we have greater flow, we have greater ease. And I think this is what all of us, ultimately in this life, we're looking for a space of greater connection, greater flow, greater ease. And I would add to that, beauty, really amplifying beauty. And so it
Yeah.
feels like
Mhm.
we could do more, right? There's more questions, and this is the beauty of meeting every couple of weeks. We get to come together again. But Nancy and I want to make sure we have time to really come into the field in a particular way together, given what's here. And certainly there were 2 flames that showed themselves as we were speaking. And actually, as I say two, I really hear 3 flames that would be beautiful to invoke. And perhaps, Nancy, what would it feel like if we did like some deep receptivity meditation and then invoked a few flames to minister to all
Mm.
of us? Does that feel like a good plan?
Mm. Yes, and as we are doing this invocation, tap into whatever came up for you in this conversation, and let
Mhm.
this be something that supports you and lets it move. Because I'm already feeling how it's moving, but let this
Mhm.
be the support that you need at this time.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
when we're entering into the soul field, we're entering into the quantum field. And in the quantum field, we have research that shows this. We can exchange our molecules. We can exchange parts of our consciousness. We can move energy with great ease there. And that's why we do this together, is because that space allows for immense transformational support. And so be in the, we start our prayer saying like we open to magic and miracles. And so let's be there together. Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Ah, yeah. So notice what are some of the things that you are already doing, and how are you applying the tools? Because you're here, you're showing up. That is one way that you are connecting to spirit. That is one way that you are being present with yourself and your spirituality. So I know that I tend to be the type of person who's like, oh, but I still have to do more. And I still have not done this. But at times we need to also give ourselves grace and say, I have come far. I have done a lot of things. And so I want to celebrate that. I want us to celebrate what you've been doing for your spirituality, for your connection. where you're at now and what you've been doing. Do you want to guide us into meditation, Luminaria, or
Sure, sure.
mm,
I so
okay.
appreciate you bringing in that, Nancy. I could feel it just like celebrating ourselves. Here we are together on Sunday, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm. And so as you allow the awareness to drop inward and that gaze becomes internal, let it be also an eternal gaze, gazing at the part of you, the soul part of you, that is not limited by time or space or storylines or identities. That is the very spark that gives rise to taking form, taking stories and identities, going to the very root, the very essence of who you are. And as you gaze upon this part, you feel also how this eternal spark is alive in a body temple, in a temporal experience of time and space. And you breathe awareness into this sacred and holy temple that allows that eternal spark to move through this dimension. And as you breathe into that, you feel the magnificence of this design. And you feel yourself in reverence to the creatrix, creator, God, goddess, source of life, this magical design. And as you open into that reverence, you begin to feel more fully your own magical nature, the mystery and the beauty that you are. You take a beautiful breath and you feel the sensations of that breath. And in the breathing, you feel where you are in this temporal journey, what you're desiring for yourself, where you feel like you're fully rocking it, and where you feel like, oh, I really could use some support. And you breathe yourself big enough to hold it all, the majesty, and the part that would rather be hidden, and everything in between. And you feel yourself in this sacred field with your fellow journeyers, recognizing and becoming big enough to hold it all. And coming back to your own awareness with your own breath. Feeling the molecules in your body enlivened with the simplicity of your intention and the ease of each breath. Feel your body and your energy field opening more fully to grace, more fully to the nurturance of this beautiful planet Earth that we get to be on and a part of. More receptive to the sacred offerings of your family humanity. And receptive to the guides and guardians, the helpers from other dimensions of pure light and love that you resonate with. And opening to the beneficial frequencies of the flames that we're about to invoke. And so we call forth the flame of immaculate integrity and integration, the flame that is amber and white light, to come swirling into each of our bodies and energy fields, ministering to us, supporting us in integrating all that we are, and cultivating a powerful center, a powerful spiritual center that is not corrupted by the illusions and the distractions and the distortions that can sometimes be present here in this dimension. We allow ourselves to receive this sacred light. At some point, you'll feel ready to make a transition. We're going to play a song as you're in this receiving. When you're ready, you can join in singing. We'll put the words to the song in the chat thread.
It's such a beautiful song. Um, I put the author or the singer author, the name. Oh, every time I hear that, it just makes me. um, I I feel so filled and so grateful, and um, we can't do this without you. I mean, Luminaria and I could do it, but it'd be a little boring. No, just kidding. It's not boring with Luminaria ever, but having you here means a lot, and knowing that you are connected, that you're tapped, is just so powerful. It just enhances this field even more and becomes so much more fun to play in it. Um, and thank you for being here.
Yes.
Whew. It's a little bit hard to transition into like, okay, let me talk about this. So I'm going slowly. um,
I can speak if you'd like, Nancy.
go for it.
Yeah. So we mentioned earlier, I know we're just a couple of minutes over, we're going to wrap very quickly. We mentioned earlier that we want to give you an opportunity to connect if you'd like to with one another and that isn't based in social media. And so what we've created is a chat thread just on regular texting, whether whatever your phone, whatever type of phone you have, it works. Um, that is a Soulfield Experience chat thread. If you would like to be part of that, just say yes in the comments
Chat.
right now. And if you can't say yes in the comments for some reason, you're on a phone or it's hard for you like that, then we will ask you to just direct message one of us and we'll add you if you'd like to be added. And then this way we can speak with one another between with kind of ease. And what we'll ask is that it's a very sacred space. It's not an advice giving space. It's not a marketing space. It's a space just for us to share our soul experiences and our journeys and our requests, to pray with and for one another, to uplift one another, to celebrate one another. So it will be really beautiful that we can connect that way with
Yeah.
ease. Um,
And
and yes.
and I know that I have heard a lot of people saying like, "Ah, I want to find my spiritual community." You know, that I don't have a lot of people around me that are into this thing. And so here's the community. And to be frank, it's a lot easier to send you a text than to craft the entire email. So it will make it easier for us to stay connected and send you information.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And then we also want to, again, in the increasing our connective and connection, increasing our touch points so that our spirituality is more woven into our lives. Nancy and I are going to invite you all into our Wednesday morning meditation and prayer time. And so we'll go live on Facebook. That will be on Facebook for now until we figure out a platform that feels super easy and accessible to everyone. But that will be Wednesday mornings on the first and third Wednesday of the month. The next one will be February 7th. And we're going to do it, we're shifting from our morning meditation time. We're going to make it in the afternoon at 5:15 p.m. So hoping that those of you who have a work schedule, you could hop in your car and pop on, for 15 minutes. Or for those of you who like afternoon times better, you'll have a touch point for some prayer meditation together. And so again, that'll start on February 7th at 5:15 Pacific Standard Time. And our next gathering here in the Soul Field is when, let me double check that. Second Sunday is February 11th. So we'll see you all here February 11th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And with that, I think we'll
And
move to our closing
if
prayer. Oh, yes, there's more.
Yeah, if for some reason you think we don't have your phone number, please message to either of us. I think I have the ones that, yeah, I have yours, but if you believe we don't have your phone number, please, and would like to be a part of this,
Right. And
send us
this
your
is
phone
for people on
number.
the recording as well, because you can't type yes in the chat thread. So you'll have to
Oh,
direct
yeah,
message us.
yes. Or you can
Yeah.
email too, email us as well. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
awesome.
We'll our closing prayer together.
Well, you get the prayer, the email for the ones in the listening to the recording is the soul field experience at gmail.com. So you can email us your phone number if you want to be added to the group.
We are deeply grateful to have experienced miraculous communion with our holy wholeness in the soul field. We wholeheartedly receive the upliftment of one another's communion and blessed soul light. As we close this formal gathering, we each, in our own way, will continue dwelling in the soul field and supporting our collective evolution. With deep gratitude, we thank one another, all our angels, guides, and guardians. And we remember that as we minister to ourselves, we uplift one another. We encourage the magic we co-created to ripple out to all our relations for the benefit of all beings.
Mm. Damos profundas gracias por esta experiencia milagrosa de comunión con nuestro ser sagrado aquí en el Soul Field, en el campo del alma. De todo corazón, recibimos la elevación de esta comunión y de la luz de nuestra alma bendita en cada uno de nosotros. Al culminar formalmente esta reunión, cada uno de nosotros, de manera particular, permaneceremos en el Soul Field, en el campo del alma, apoyando nuestra evolución colectiva. Con profunda gratitud, damos gracias a cada uno de nosotros y a nuestros ángeles, guías, guardianes de luz y ancestros, recordando que al predicarnos a nosotros mismos, nos elevamos el uno al otro y alentamos la magia que acabamos de co-crear para que se expanda a todas nuestras relaciones para el beneficio de todos.
Mm.
And now gather your candles and we're going to close the field and end in today's gathering. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a blessed, blessed couple of weeks. We'll see you
Bye, guys.
soon.